How's it going, guys? So, today's video, as you can see, is a video response. And what happened was I woke up this morning and I saw my good mate Champion 2D Rob posted a new video, and it was titled, I think it was VR Response, my 5 most nostalgic PlayStation 1 games. And it's a video response to a new YouTuber, a guy called A Lad Up North. So I went and had a look at his video as well and watched his other videos that he's got. Really nice guy. Thank you very much for watching this, mate. Thank you for the nice words you said about me as well. I really appreciated that. And on his video, his original video was just titled My Nostalgic Games as a Kid. So he said in the video, anyone can do a response, which is great. It's a community question. So I thought I'd do one. And when I thought about it, I thought, I can't, technically, I was born in 1977. So as a kid, it's like the first 13 years, so that's up to 1990. So that's only really like Commodore era for me. So I thought, well, we'll just stretch this out till the end of the 90s as well. So that way it gives you more content. So I figured what I'd do is mostly, I mean, I didn't get a PlayStation until 97 when I'd have been 20. So this is touch and go, but you know, I still class it as being a kid because you're not really grown up at 20. So what I thought I'd do is just pick a couple of games. And these are games that are massively nostalgic on each of the systems. And they're games that when I think of a computer or a console from my youth, these are games that immediately jump to mind and have memories attached to them that are just fantastic titles. So first of all, we're going to start with the Commodore 64. Now, I love that computer to bits. It's absolutely fantastic. And I played absolutely tons of games, and you know, too many to remember. I'm always finding games on people's videos and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that one. But one of the games that really stands out when you mention Commodore 64, to me at least, is Hunchback. A game that I played to death as a kid, and one of the rare games that I actually played with my dad as well, because he's not really into playing the home games. He likes the arcade stuff, but he's not really into the home computer and console games. And I remember we used to play that a lot together. Very tough platformer. I remember in particular the one where you had to jump over the guys in the pits who got the spikes, and it was an absolute nightmare. I was terrible at Hunchback. I never played the sequel, unfortunately, but the original, a really cool little game, and always stuck with me, as I say, because I used to play that one with my dad, so that made it really cool. Next one would be a game that I used to play with my cousin a lot, and these next two are going to be cousin-related games. And this one is Barbarian by Palace, which is essentially just a one-on-one fighting game, but you've got a big sword each, and the idea is to basically twat each other with the swords, and you can roll on the floor and you can jump out of the way of the sword swipes as defensive moves. But the main aim of the game is to basically hit each other with the swords, chop each other in the arms and the legs, and then if you're really good, you can do a special move where he jumps up, spins around and chops the bloke's head off. And then his head, I used to love this, and the head would roll across the floor, and you get this little animation, this little green goblin comes on, kicks the head off, laughs and drags the body off. And it was just, as a kid I thought that was brilliant, it was really funny. And it's one of those games that always stands out for me with the Commodore 64. It's the Amiga version, but the 64 one, I used to play it with our cousin all the time, and I absolutely love that game. The other games to play with my cousin, we used to mainly play these two games really back then, and one of them was like Barbarian, the other one was Ikari Warriors. I absolutely love Ikari Warriors, and if I ever manage to get a Commodore 64 back, it's going to be one of the first games to play on it because it's so good. And it's on the NES as well, so a lot of people might remember this game. But basically it's a run and gun like Commando, Rambo, Mercs, that kind of game. So you're running from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen, there's just enemies everywhere and you've just got to shoot them. And Ikari Warriors was great because you used to be able to shoot them, throw grenades, and there was also tanks, and you could jump in the tanks and blow stuff up, and you run across bridges, and it was just an absolutely fantastic game, and especially as a multiplayer experience with 2 players. Me and my cousin used to have loads of fun playing that game, and I can't remember if we ever completed it. I know one night we did try our best to try and defeat it, and weirdly, the reason I remember this night is because we were playing the game and we were getting really far into it, and then his sister, my other cousin, came home with some food, and we had fish fingers, curry sauce and chips, and I think there might be some rice involved as well. I don't know why I remember that, but it just always stuck in my head, that has. Yeah, I love Ikari Warriors, it's a fantastic title, and I've not played it since then, so I'd love to play that again. The other game on the 64 is the last, well, it's a series of games, is Last Ninja. I played them a lot back then, I really like those games a lot, especially Last Ninja 2, and they're isometric, I suppose, action adventure games. Obviously ninjas were big in the 80s, and you have to do some puzzle solving as well, like in number 2 at the beginning, you have to work out just how to get out of the room initially, which I played it a couple of years back when I had the Amiga, and I actually worked it out. I remembered how to do it, and I was really chuffing myself about that. But yeah, it's fantastic. And you get, I remember from memory, because I've not played it for a long time now. I only played that one a few years back. But I think you get like different weapons as well. You get like smoke bombs and things to help, to aid you. And I just thought they were really cool, and they're isometric, they're really nice graphical style. And the Amiga games are cool, but the 64 games in particular, they've got a really nice graphical style to them. You know, it's got that Commodore look about them. Yeah, I love the Last Ninja games, they're absolutely fantastic. So if we move on to the next computer I had, which was the Commodore Amiga 500. Now, of course, the Amiga, again, like the 64, has a massive library. There's just so many games you could pick. But if I really thought about it, the ones that stand out the most, the first one being Xenon 2, which is a vertical shooter. One of the first games, if not, probably was the first game I played on my Amiga. I had a friend who had an Amiga first, and I played a fair few games, including Robocop 2 on his. And then when I got my Amiga, I had Xenon 2 as one of the first games I put on. I absolutely loved it. I mean, from the Bonder-based soundtrack, to the graphics, to the alien in the shop, the bullets. I mean, it's not the most accomplished shooter by any means, but there's just all that nostalgia attached to it. Fantastic title. Then of course there's a couple of games that I played with the cousin I was talking about before. One of his other sisters, her boyfriend had an Amiga, and I remember playing these couple of games with him and my cousin as well, actually, for that matter. One was Speedball 2, which I think, you know, most people who have played the Amiga love Speedball 2. It's a fantastic futuristic sports game basically, and I suppose it's like a football game in a way, but you're using your hands, so you're throwing the ball around. You know, from the metallic graphics to the sound effects as the ball would bounce off the walls, where you could throw it through the shooting to come out the other side, and the tactics of two-player mode, and the ice screams, you know, from shouting from the crowd. I just love it. I just absolutely love Speedball 2. I never played the first one, but the second one, absolutely incredible. It's a Bitmap Brothers game as well, so it's got an incredible soundtrack when it starts up. Fantastic game. I also played Shadow Warriors with my cousin's boyfriend as well on his Amiga. That was a really cool game. I like it. It's very hard, but yeah, it was pretty decent. It's a scrolling beat 'em up essentially, quite sluggish in its play, but it was always a really interesting game to play. I remember the first part, you're running, you're walking across an area and you're beating up guys, and there's dudes in big dudes, red shirt, blue jeans. I think they've got hockey masks as well, if I can remember correctly. And I remember you have to get to the one bit, you get to the street, and there's like, I don't know if there's cars, I can't remember, you have to get across the road without getting hit, so there must be. Yeah, I used to find it a right pain in the arse to do. And you could, like, the cool thing about the game though, you could bounce off the walls and do like a backflip over the enemies, which was really cool. It doesn't play particularly well. I've played it since I've had an Amiga in the last few years when I had one, and it was alright, but I mean, nostalgically, it just takes me back to that time. And then the other game I played was Magic Pockets. I remember getting it at a car boot in Birmingham. I don't remember which car boot it was actually, but I just remember walking around the car boot on a Sunday morning, and the guy had a load of pirate discs out, and I ended up picking up Magic Pockets. I don't know if I'd read about Magic Pockets or what it was, but I really wanted to play it. And yeah, the Betty Boo soundtrack, because I can't remember what it was. It was a TV show, a Saturday morning TV show, I think it was, the kids show, and they used to have it as their phone-in game, from what I can remember. I can't remember which one it was, if it was going live or something else, but I remember they had Magic Pockets, and the kids would obviously talk down the phone and say left, right, up, down, jump, and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I love Magic Pockets. To this day, it's just a great game. So then we move on a bit further. So we go on to like the consoles, and talking like Super Nintendo. Now I only had a handful of games. 3 of them are actually on this list. One being Castlevania 4, which is just an incredible title. I love everything about Castlevania 4. I mean, it's always been one of my favourite games, and I still play it to this day. And yeah, it's the first Castlevania I've ever played. I just love everything about it. The graphics are gorgeous, the colours, the level design is fantastic. You know, the variety of enemies with the mermen and the rockmen, and you know, the skeletons, and you've got the bosses, like you've got Medusa, you've got Frankenstein's monster, you've got a multi-headed dragon, you've got Dracula. It's really varied and really interesting, and keeps you hooked all the way through, and it's got a great level of difficulty. The whipping in multiple directions is always something people talk about, because it really does make a hell of a difference with the game. Yeah, I love Castlevania 4, fantastic title. Next one would be Pro Protector, which was another one I had, Super Pro Protector, or Contra 3, or Contra Spirits in Japan. Yeah, absolutely incredible, really hard. I'm not very good at it now, I can't get very far. I can only get to the bit which is very early on, where the 2 dudes, you have to fight the 2 skeleton guys, and then the big one comes through the wall and pulls the wall apart. I can't get past that, it's rock hard. But I love the game because it's got such a challenge. It's like old school games used to be, where they don't just beat you down for no reason. You always feel like you've made a mistake, and you know that you can rectify that mistake and you'll advance further in the game, and you always come back for more. And Contra 3 or Super Probotech is fantastic. I think I do prefer the PAL version just because of the robots instead of the humans. It makes it a little more cool, a bit more futuristic. Then the other game I had when I was a kid was Street Fighter 2. Like, everybody had Street Fighter 2. I think those three and Mario World were the only games I actually owned myself. I played most of my games at my mate Brian's house. He was an older kid and had a Famicom and a Magicom, and he was able to just pirate everything, had shitloads of games everywhere. And yeah, I just remember like going around his house again, it's that couch co-op again. I remember distinctly going around, there was Brian, Sean and another kid whose name I can't remember, and they're all sitting on the edge of the bed with like a 21-inch CRT or whatever it was, playing Street Fighter 2. He just picked it up. I think it was Turbo actually at that point. So I remember going to the Motorcycle Museum in Birmingham with Brian to go and pick it up, and I remember distinctly the Super Famicom artwork and the Street Fighter 2 Turbo box. And I remember going around later that day, as I say, and Sean, Brian and this other kid were there, and they're all on the edge of the bed playing Winner Stays On. And it's like that's the kind of thing that's missing from gaming these days. You can have it online gaming, but you can't beat Winner Stays On. I mean, that's just, yeah, Street Fighter 2 is awesome. And of course, Star Fox. I remember Brian again, I remember going around his house when he got Star Fox. I can't remember if he brought it legally or pirated it. I don't know, he used to do a lot of both. And I remember just walking in the bedroom, opening the door, and as I opened the door, the TV's in front of the doorway, and just seeing Star Fox and being like, holy shit. I mean, those polygons, all right, they look dated now, but at that time, it was just revolutionary to see that kind of game on any system, let alone a 16-bit Super Nintendo. I mean, it looked futuristic, and you know, that game is so nostalgic. I love playing that game. And then, of course, lastly, we've got, which of course, a lad up north and Rob have talked about, is the PlayStation. Now, the PlayStation, I mean, again, a console that has got, all of these systems have vast libraries, and it's so hard to pick games. So I really have just gone for the games that when I had a lot of pirated games on the PlayStation, like a lot of people. So these really are the games that just, as soon as I think PlayStation, I think of these games and the impact they had on me at the time. So the first one is Ridge Racer Type 4. First Ridge Racer game I ever played. I absolutely loved the drifting, and it was just incredible. Great soundtrack, great game, plays great. Most importantly though, the thing that really stood out and always reminds me of that time was that intro where the car drives along and it pulls up, and the little Japanese girl walks over to the car and the window winds down, and she looks through the window, and then he drives off and the Ridge Racer music comes in. She gets in the car and then he drives off, and the Ridge Racer music kicks in, and it's like, oh my god. I mean, that's just so iconic. I love Ridge Racer Type 4. I really need to buy that at some point. Next one is going to be Medal of Honor, which I've recently completed, and again, after 20 years, I finally played it through again, and it's just fantastic. You know, one of the first, in fact, I think it was the first World War II first-person shooter game that came out on consoles. Yeah, it's just an incredible game, absolutely stunning. I love it. You know, all the atmospheric sound effects with the dogs and the Nazis and the crickets, and the incredible cinematic music, the score, the sound effects of the guns, the way the Germans hop around when you shoot them and go down following the guns and throwing grenades, and it's just fantastic. All the levels are great, even like the sneaking around stuff where you just got to show your papers. So it's stealth, but not too stealth, so it's all right for me. I can actually get through it. It's brilliant. Even right at the end when you take down the V2 rocket. Funny as hell. When I did that the other week, I'd forgotten what happens, and it's hilarious. You drop through the hatch and you press a button to sabotage the machine, and the rocket takes off, and you see this little scientist dude running around. Then the rocket comes back down, lands on him. Absolutely brilliant. Love Medal of Honor. Another one would be Crash Bandicoot 3. I remember playing the first two vaguely, but number 3 was the one that I remember playing the most. I remember when I got that one Christmas, I remember my dad bought me like a stack, I mean like literally a stack of pirated games from this bloke. And I remember playing Crash Bandicoot 3 and I absolutely loved it because I loved the variety of number 3. The graphics are much better than the other two, they're really enhanced, it gets better every time, but it was the gameplay elements they threw in, throwing in the female Bandicoot, throwing in the bit where you're on the tiger and you're speeding along and you've got to dodge objects and jump over things and go under things. Absolutely love that. Using the jet ski on the water as well. Just the total variety that they throw into Crash Bandicoot 3 to really change it up. And that game, Warped, is the one that really stands out for me. I've always loved that game. And yeah, one day I'll get all 3 of them back again. And then the last game I want to talk about is a game that absolutely, when I thought about this, really stands out from that time, which was Street Fighter Alpha 3. Or 03 because I had the Japanese pirate. I just love that game. It's got like Cody Guy. I don't think he's got Hager in it from what I can remember, but it's got the Final Fight characters in there, which is really cool. It's a 2D one as well because back then My friends were really into the EX series, the 3D Street Fighter games. I absolutely hate those games. I can't stand, oops, hit the tripod. I can't stand 3D fighting games, they suck. You know, other than later like Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast, that was really cool, but at the time I couldn't stand them. I thought they were terrible. I was all about 2D fighting games. And when I got to Street Fighter 03, I was blown away by it. I mean, the graphics are really bright, really vibrant. You've got the big like fight logos and things that come over the screen that's just really neon and over the top. Incredible music, great sound effects. It's solid Street Fighter playing. It's a shame it's on a PlayStation because the D-pad sucks arse. But nonetheless, it's just one of those games that takes me right back to that time. It's just fantastic. So that's a couple of games really. That, if I say a couple, it's like what, 16 games. But yeah, I just wanted to do a response, and I wanted to, you know, give you an idea of the games that really stand out for me. And thank you to a lad up north as well for actually doing this community question. I thought it was a great idea, mate. Well done. And as I say, guys, he's a new YouTuber, so please go and check out his channel. There's a link down in the description for his channel, so go and click on that and have a look at what he's doing, because he's a really nice dude. And I'll put a link down there as well for Champion 2D Rob, one of my favourite YouTubers that I've known for years. So yeah, there you go. Thank you, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's been informative of some kind. So yeah, and also really what I want to say as well before I do go is a big thank you to Dana as well, Danester, because you know this stream he's doing is absolutely brilliant, because it's making me find other YouTubers that I didn't know about. So that's really good. I've subscribed to a couple of YouTubers of late, as it happens. And also it's really engaged me and made me get back into the video making and becoming part of it again, because as you know, for a while I've just lost all interest and motivation really, and I was trying to push on, but I really wasn't, my heart wasn't in it really, to be quite honest with you. So I'm starting to build back up now, and I'm starting to enjoy making videos again. And lately it's been fantastic, because it's like every day now I'm seeing new videos from people, and the real community feels there, and it's great. And so yeah, thanks Dana, really appreciate it, mate, having me on the stream and everything. Helped a lot, give me a kick in the arse, so good on you. So keep doing what you do, mate. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Leave your comments down below as always, and I'll see you in the next video.